BBQ Central.
Start the game! Let's go!
We'll do it live. Okay. Well, do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!
So to get that perfect barbecue, you use wood. Are you sure it's safe? Whatever. We put the lighter fluid on, strike the match, and... Oh! Should we call the fire department? That might be a good idea.
Good evening, and welcome to the Really Big Barbecue Central Show. This is a show that talks about all things important in the world of barbecue and grilling, originating from the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame city of Cleveland, Ohio, the barbecue capital of the North Coast. I am your program host, Greg Rippey. Happy to have you right here on your Tuesday's live fire fun and frivolity show. If tonight is the night, we're close to Christmas. We're in the midst of Hanukkah. Various other holidays abound, and you want to jump in on the show tonight, although I know you won't. Here's how you do it.
You can get in touch with the show by calling 216-220-0966. Email Greg at the BBQCentralShow.com. On the Twitter and Instagrams at BBQ Central Show.
Anything else you want to find out about the show can be found at the main website, thebbqcentralshow.com. And here's what's happening coming up in about 12 minutes from now. He is the third Tuesday of the month regular guest. We missed him last month, but that was on me because of Rodney Scott. He is rejoining us this month, right at the tail end of 2020. Stephen Reichlen from Barbecue Bible joins us, host of Project Fire, author of many, many, many live fire cooking books. The list goes on. Stephen will be back. And we'll talk a little bit of Thanksgiving since we missed him last month. We'll talk about what he's doing in the midst of Hanukkah. He is an observer of that holiday. And then we'll see if he doubles down next week for Christmas. Also, we'll be talking about gifts for the live fire loved one in your life. And we'll also talk about the 2020 top live fire trends that emerged this year. And we'll also get his predictions for the 2021. So we'll see how that goes. Then we will move to 35 past the hour. He was on the show about 3+ years ago. And within that mere appearance alone garnered him into the inaugural class of the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame. He is a college football expert, covering it professionally for The Athletic. Previous to that, Sports Illustrated. Andy Staples rejoins the show. If you follow me on Twitter, you know that, you would have to follow me fairly in-depthly, regularly. The Cleveland Browns are in season. There's an NFL thing happening. Oh, I don't even know if I really want to get into it. Anyway, I made a bet with Andy that the Browns would have 5 or less wins this season, regardless of what you want to talk about, talent and coaching and blah. I said 5 or less, and he immediately took that bet. We laid down the winner getting the other one, or the winner getting a brisket from the loser. And about 3 weeks ago, the Browns blew past 5 wins, and I immediately shipped out a Wagyu Wylara brisket from the butcher shop, which I paid for, to Andy Staples, who summarily turned right around and cooked it, posted pictures on the tweeter. It was great back and forth, so I asked if he would come back on. We could recap the bet, talk a little college football, talk a little bit of Browns football from last night as they lost a nail-biter to the Ravens. Unbelievable. And we'll also talk about maybe the top 10 barbecue campuses in the South. That was a list that was just recently released by Robert Moss, who was part of the Barbecue Hall of Fame names nominating committee. That'll do it for your first hour. Then we'll move to the second hour, 14 past, because it is a third Tuesday. Robin Lindars from grillgirl.com will join me, and who knows what we're going to be tackling tonight. I mean, I know I have an agenda set, but Robin, a little bit of a loose cannon, and I mean that in all of the best ways possible. I always get tremendous email about her appearances, so we are locked and loaded. Depending on when Robin and I finish up, have a little left over with you guys if you want to jump in and give me some of your favorite points of the year. We might start to broach that as well. We have a huge 2-week endeavor starting next week as we begin to recap 2020 and do a best of 2020, so it's going to be great. So stay tuned all the way through the end of the year. Don't forget you can follow me socially, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and the Snappers at BBQ Central Show, /BBQ Central Show, Facebook and Twitch, and /RD Rempe on YouTube. The latter three are where you can find a video of this. You can also get an audio feed on the main website under audio only. Originally, I was going to remake the plea here at the top for those who asked for those face masks that I had that were branded Barbecue Central Show to send pics in, because the mail taking forever. However, today, almost 2 weeks later, they appear to all hit at the same time, so let me make sure that I am keeping up my end of the bargain here and showing the proper pictures as we blow it out. First up is my parents, Bill and Connie Rempe. Safe right there, Barbecue Central Show. Now, I will push in just a little bit so you see you got nice branding left and right side right here. So those are my parents there. And then, of course, the unofficial / official Colorado embedded correspondent, Dennis Busso, giving us a nice shot right here. You can see the Barbecue Central Show logo. There's a matching one right over here on his right side. And then we have none other than the host of Barbecue and Baseball, Len Aberman, sending in a picture. This guy's hot as they come. What I appreciate most about Len and this picture is he has gone GQ / pro model in his approach. So you have full torso shot, but he's kind of turned like Horatio Caine from CSI Miami. And then he's not looking directly at the camera. He's looking off into the barbecue and baseball distance, as it were. But again, if you were wondering how it looks, we'll push in on Len. He's a handsome man. He's got a great head of hair, by the way. Congratulations on having all your hair still, Len. Great. The things that I'm hearing the most about the mask: fits great like a glove. You have an extra spot on the inside that you can't see for an extra filter if you want to put it in there just underneath the chin here. If you have a big fat chin, it will accommodate that. Luckily, nobody that I have shown you has a big fat chin, so you don't have to worry about that. And then the straps behind the ears are also adjustable, which is very nice and very comfortable, so you can get that customized feel and fit and finish if you're so inclined. So I don't have any more going out at this point, and I don't have any more coming in on order at this point, but if I do another run and you're interested, listen to the show, listen proactively, and then send me a note. And if I have them for you, I will send them to you. Also, want to give a special shout out to none other than the Bad Jew, Rebecca King, sending me a sticker right here. Actually, she sent me a pair, but more importantly, and they just showed up in the mail today, a sweatshirt and a long-sleeve T-shirt. By the way, a lot of you pre-show were noticing the long-sleeve Barbecue Central Show shirts. These are not for sale. I made them myself. And by made, I mean I bought them myself. But she sent me the Bad Jew long-sleeve tee and a of course it would be a long-sleeve sweatshirt, but a sweatshirt as well. So very excited to showcase the Bad Jew gear next week. It just hit a little too late here in the day and already had my outfit picked out for the show this evening. Some listener feedback from the show last week. Tim in Texas. Greg, why would you think that sharing the gory details of your ear surgery is something we would find interesting. It's gross. It's grosser than the McRib. Few things, Tim, are grosser than the McRib. I perhaps have a fault on oversharing things that I think you might find interesting, especially when it relates to me. I'm your humble host. If I'm not in A-OK shape, things could go south quickly for the show. Paul in Rhode Island wrote in. Greg, I thought Ed from B&B was an incredible first-time guest. He was very knowledgeable about the charcoal, of course, but I had no idea the company had been around since the 60s. I figured everyone besides Kingsford and Royal Oak had only been on the scene in recent years, like 10 or less. I look forward to his next interview. Right. Plenty of other stuff to get to. Thank you for writing in. If you're compelled to write in because you've heard something on a show to let me know how you feel, please do that. Greg at thebbqcentralshow.com. Speaking of B&B Charcoal, I will tell you about them right now. First of all, the website, if you want to check out their products, bbcharcoal.com. That's bbcharcoal.com. Last week, we talked a lot about lump charcoal with Ed Riley. We talked a lot about briquette charcoal and the instances on when you would want to use those. Overnight cooked, if you want consistent temperature, if you want things that you can bank on, if you want the use of the entire bag of charcoal, briquettes are probably going to be a little bit more up your alley. Now, if you're like me, you can deal with a little inconsistency, but you like the higher heats that the lump is going to give you, that's good. If you like not having hardly any ash, then lump is going to be up your alley. If you want to get into that 8 to 1200 degree range, lump is going to be up your alley. Once again, you can check them both out at bbcharcoal.com. And as far as buying is concerned, as he told us, your local Ace, if they don't have it in store, you can go online. They keep it in their national warehouses, and then they will ship it to your Ace store. If you have an Ace by you like I do, much like we've talked about in the past about forming a relationship with a butcher that might be in your town, form a relationship with the manager at your local Ace. I did it with mine, and she actually brought in products that she wasn't going to stock at all, just for me. I said, look, I know what I'm talking about, lady, and B&B Charcoal is where it's at. So let's start loading up on the char log, and let's start loading up on the competition briquettes. And you're going to see a whole new revenue stream rolling through this local Ace Hardware. She bought in, and now it's widely available. It's great stuff. bbcharcoal.com. That's bbcharcoal.com. You can review everything that they have on their products portfolio, including, with our next conversation of Ed Riley, pellets. Everybody's getting into the pellet game. Pellet cookers are the thing and continue to be the thing and will be a thing again in 2021. We're back with none other than Stephen Reichlen coming up out of the break. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Broadcasting live from the BBQ Central Show studios in Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the BBQ Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Butcher Barbecue, makers of award-winning injections, marinades, rubs, seasonings, barbecue sauces, grilling oils. All of Butcher Barbecue products have been tested on the competition circuit as well as backyards like mine and across the world. Be the pitmaster of your neighborhood. And visit butcherbbq.com to stock up now. Always trust your butcher. Centralites, it is the third Tuesday of the month, and you know what that means. They visit with a host of TV shows, the creator and host of the very popular Project Fire on PBS, host and author of the most popular barbecue and grilling books in the history of barbecue and grilling books, and most importantly, friend of this show, Stephen Reichlen. Hey, Stephen.
How you doing?
I am doing very well, and it's great to have you back in the saddle again. You graciously gave way last month to Rodney Scott, who I know you're very familiar with, and we had a great interview with him. You know, what's funny is he was featured in one of those 4 or 5 episodes of the Chef's Table Barbecue Edition. And I watched all of them, and they were very entertaining. But his, I found a particular kinship to. So as I was watching it, I was taking notes and wondering, well, why didn't they follow up on this portion? Or why didn't they follow up on that portion? So landing him last month, I was almost allowed to do my own re-documentary on some of the finer points. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where, you know, you've watched something that you have liked and then found yourself with an ability to actually talk with that person and delve further into that whole thing?
Are you speaking to me? I'm sorry, I lost you for a
Yes.
couple of minutes.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. One great example of that, there's a professor at Harvard University named Richard Wrangham. He wrote a book called Catching Fire, which in effect basically says that human evolution, human civilization, everything we became as we left from brute apes to intelligent, articulate men began over with cooking over live fire. In other words, began with barbecue. And I read his book, I followed his thinking, and I found myself giving a lecture at his invitation at Harvard and then having dinner with him in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And it was a fabulous experience.
Stephen Reichlen joining us here on the show. So how was Thanksgiving for you? Were you the outdoor live fire master of like turkeys and stuff like that, or you do something outside of the box this year? I'm sure the gathering was small like most people's were.
It was weird and sad. We didn't have a family dinner. It was just actually Thanksgiving with my wife and I. But I cooked a beautiful 12-pound heritage turkey on my wood-burning rotisserie. And then I just then dispatched, some of it to my daughter and some of it to friends. But, we gave thanks for the fact that everybody was healthy and that, we could enjoy it at a distance. And I got to tell you, that wood rotisserie turkey was absolutely amazing. But it was sad. It was just a sad Thanksgiving this year.
In as many weeks, you have, again, brought up heritage turkey. I talked with George Motes last week, who was obviously the hamburger know-it-all of the universe. And he had mentioned he had done, it was a ridiculous size, 25 or 27 pound. But again, heritage breed turkey. So tell me a little bit more about where this is coming from, because it's something I'd never heard of. And then last year, right about Thanksgiving time, Jeremy Umansky at Larder, who you know, had mentioned that there's a purveyor of heritage breed turkeys on the west side of Cleveland, and that if I ever have the opportunity, and they were sold out, of course, by the time I had learned about it, to get one. And he said, there is such a huge taste difference. It will be shocking and well worth the $6 or $7 a pound that you'll pay.
Absolutely. So in a nutshell, if you go back 100 years, there were many, many different breeds of turkeys. There were many, many different breeds of cows, of lambs, of vegetables for that matter. People grew raised local animals with very specific flavors. Animals and vegetables were raised more for their flavor, less for their size. Fast forward today with industrial agriculture, and animals are raised to give you the most meat in the least amount of time, and what you sacrifice is flavor. So these heirloom birds, I mean, they even look different. This turkey had big, long legs, and it had a very small breast. We raise our industrial turkeys to have monstrous breasts. The taste, it was a little firmer. The flavor just went on forever. And I did a very simple preparation. I just did a dry brine with salt and pepper. I mean, no, there was wood smoke coming from the wood fire, but I did not smoke the bird. I really wanted to keep that flavor in place. And we try and do that. We try and do it with our vegetables. We try and do it with our meats. Even with something like seafood, we get salmon when wild salmon is in season, and we're not interested. We don't need to eat salmon all year long. at the expense of having it come from farms in South America. We'd rather eat good old American Pacific Northwest wild salmon for the 4 months as it's season, and then eat something else when it's not. So I will come down off my soapbox, but that's heritage turkey.
If we can just expand 1 second on the flavor of the turkey, is it turkey flavor but in a more profound and rich way, or is it a different turkey flavor altogether?
Turkey flavor in a more profound, rich flavor. I don't know if you remember the episode with Julia Child where she was talking about the French breast chicken, which is the most famous chicken in France, and she said it just tasted chickeny. And I guess what I would say of this is it did not taste of, a lot of inexpensive industrial turkeys are pre-brined or they're injected with brine. So what you're tasting is salt, water, sometimes oil, sometimes margarine. This tasted of turkey. I mean, it had the kind of rich flavor that wild game does, as opposed to, let's say, wild boar as opposed to pork, or venison as opposed to beef.
We're in the middle of some of a really big Jewish holiday, of course, Hanukkah, and then we have Christmas coming up a week from Thursday, or I guess it's a week from Friday, for that day specifically. We've been talking a lot this month about rib roasts or beef roast, because a lot of people will do the turkey for Thanksgiving and then they'll go some kind of a rib roast for Christmas. From a Hanukkah standpoint, what are your usual traditions? I'm sure, once again, like Thanksgiving, it looks a little different this year. But what do you find from a culinary standpoint that you go to every year? And then, is there anything outside of the box this year that you're trying? Because I know you're both a traditionalist and an iconoclast at the same time.
Okay, well, the quintessential food, Hanukkah food, at least for European Jews descended from European Jews from Central Europe, are latkes, which are potato pancakes. They're fried in oil. We make them with organic Yukon Gold potatoes, grated with onion, held together with matzah meal, leavened with baking powder. We fry them in extra virgin olive oil. This is a holiday where you celebrate oil, because what happened, Hanukkah celebrates a miracle that took place a little over, about 2,500 years ago, where the Holy Temple in Jerusalem was desecrated by a people that wanted to destroy the Jews and destroy Judaism. And a small group of Jewish guerrilla fighters managed to win victory over the invaders. When they got into the temple, they reconsecrated it. Normally, there's a holy lamp that burns with oil. There was enough, a little tiny bottle of oil that was unbroken, enough just for one night, but that oil, lo and behold, burned for 8 nights in a row. So we light candles for 8 nights in a row, or we light oil. We celebrate with foods that are fried in oil, hence frying the potatoes in oil. This year, we're strictly traditional. However, in the past, I have cooked the latkes on a plancha, on my charcoal burning grill, adding a handful of wood chips to the fire. So I smoke the latkes as well as grill the potato latkes, smoked potato latkes. You heard about it here first. Great. We serve it with homemade applesauce. My wife has a little secret there. She adds vanilla extract to the applesauce. If you've never tried it, totally amazing. And sour cream. And that is pure bliss. That's pure bliss in a pancake.
So that's coming to an end on the 18th. Will you celebrate at all next week for Christmas, or are you guys strictly Hanukkah celebrators?
Well, this is a tough holiday for Christmas, because normally Jewish people go to Chinese restaurants, and we have we go to a movie and then a fabulous Chinese restaurant on Christmas Day, and you know that everybody at the Chinese restaurant is going to be Jewish, so it's really fun. But of course, we're not eating inside indoors in restaurants. I think what we're going to do, normally we do make a prime rib, and very often I'll smoke it or I'll spit roast it over wood. This year, we're going to get one prime rib steak, grill it over wood. My wife and I will share that.
All right, so we have a week and a half left for Christmas, and for the folks that might be looking for a really last minute gift, and the way shipping has been going this year, it's been unbelievable. Things have been on their way to people from me to them for what seems like a month, and it just never seems to get there. But let's throw that off to the side for a moment. Are there some things that you would recommend? I'm sure this is a question you're asked about this time of year. What should I get my husband or my wife? They're the grill master. They're the pit master. Things that you would like to see under your tree or in your house for this holiday season.
Well, first of all, what I would like to see under the tree or the menorah for everybody are obviously my books, my Project Smoke spice rubs and barbecue sauces. In lieu of coal in that stocking, I would like to see my Project Smoke apple wood chunks and cherry wood chunks. But I don't want to make this solely a commercial for Stephen Reichlen. So let me tell you a couple of things that we had on our holiday gift list for on barbecuebible.com. And number one is a knife that I really love. It's called a Nakiri. You'll watch me using in the Project Fire TV show. It looks like a cleaver, but it's longer than a cleaver and sort of less wide than a cleaver. It's a fantastic chopping knife, and I just love the way it feels in my hand. And we recommend the one made by Shun. Yep, that's it right there. You can see the hammered steel, so that's really fun. Let's see. We talked about a plancha for cooking the latkes earlier. We recommend a Lodge cast iron griddle. We recommend any of the Skazillion wireless.
Oh boy. Check. Hello. Anybody? Anyone? Anybody around here, ladies and gentlemen? Anybody around here?
What?
I know. Steven. He's gone. Am I gone? Internet looks to be on. I hope he didn't axe himself. He hit the eject button, ladies and gentlemen. I hope this is not a sign. Oh, there he is. He's back. Steven.
Japanese Wagyu beef.
There he is.
Imported from Japan, sold by Crowd Cow. This is beef so richly marbled that if you look at it, imagine white lace laid over a red tablecloth. It is more fat than beef, but you grill it quickly, ideally on a plancha, and you put it on your tongue and it melts like a beef flavored snowflake. Not inexpensive, but extremely exquisite. So those are a few of the items that I would recommend for holiday gift giving. They're all available on Amazon, and as far as I know, Amazon is about as efficient as Santa for getting things there on time.
The wireless thermometer that you had on the list.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you can talk like in general terms here, but I'm fascinated by. I think that this conceptually is going to be the next big movement for remote thermometering of foods. There was the meter, I think, was the initial one. It had incredible success on the fun pages and all this stuff, but took forever to really start to roll out. Then I didn't really hear too many good things initially, and now I'm starting to see more, maybe 2 or 3 different other ones that are popping up. So from your experience, how are they performing, and do you think that it's more of a gimmick still versus a tried and true, or are they becoming much more reliable?
Well, let me give you an example. And actually, I've used 3 of them, at least 3. I've used Yumly, I've used Meter, I've used the Maverick steak. And imagine that there is a grill master who is spit roasting a heritage turkey on a wood-burning rotisserie. And if he were to use a conventional thermometer that had a wire on it, as that turkey's going round and round, he'd wind up with a big tangle.
Yep.
But if he were to use a wireless meat thermometer, he'd be able to monitor the internal temperature on his cell phone without worrying about wires. So that's exactly what I did. I think they're great. Like any electronic, they're going to get better. I think the range, the range will get better. The battery life will get better. That's really the important thing, because you want to they're great now for steaks, chickens. I used it for turkey. For brisket, I don't know that there's one that will hold out for a 12-hour smoke at this point, but we'll get there.
Stephen Reichlen joining us here on the show. BBQBible.com is website, of course. 2 questions here before I let you go, and appreciate the time as always, Stephen. 2020's most surprising food trend, and it can be in the live fire sector, or it can just be in general. It's been a weird year, but what was the most surprising food trend to you?
Well, the most surprising was the bacon-wrapped Oreo, which seemed to explode in the blogosphere. And I guess you could deep fry it, or I guess, you could indirect grill it. I get it, sweet and salty, and it looks kind of cool. But nonetheless, I'm not sure that that's something that, Escoffier or Julia Child or James Beard could have foreseen, but I'm sure glad I lived to see it. Trends for 2021, I'm hoping a year from now, we will all be getting ready for big family dinners with our friends, with our families, having all been vaccinated, and that COVID-19 will be a bad memory, but, a thing of the past.
All right, you can find him over at BBQBible.com. You find him on the 3rd Tuesday of every month right here on this show. Stephen, I wish you a great rest of the holiday season, a happy new year, and we'll see you on the 3rd Tuesday in January of 2021.
I look forward to it. You do a great job. So thanks, everybody. Happy holidays.
There he is, Stephen Reichlen right there. And we will see him in the new year. Stephen Reichlen on my show, by the way. Did you know that? He's on my show. That's right. Not on your show. Maybe he appears as a guest sometimes on you, but he's on my show. A regular contributor right here on the Barbecue Central show. So we'll see how it goes from a 2021 standpoint. We got predictions coming up with Robin. Potentially, we got we might have an hour with Robin. We'll see. Some of the gifts, once again, a poultry shears A5 from Crowd Cow if you want. The Brisket Chronicles from Stephen Reichlen. And then he's pretty high on the wireless meat thermometers. Look, when I was on the barbecue talk show over in the UK and you watched it, you can't find the archives anywhere because I think I took so much of a shit on the meter that they pulled it off of the internet. But I can only give you my experience of dealing with those people. However, with Malcolm Reed's positive, Stephen Reichlen being positive, the guys on the barbecue talk show were positive about it. Might have to start to regroup a little bit, come around on my thinking. We'll see how it goes. I want those to be great. If Fireboard is down with the wireless tech, then I'm going to be way more of a believer and a buyer at that point than I am right now. I'm still a little skeptical. Color me skeptical. My Fireboard works boss. All right, BBQBible.com is Stephen's website. Check him out. 3rd Tuesday of the month right here on this show as well. Andy Staples is in the green room. We'll get to him here in just a second. I'll talk to you quickly about Big Papa Smokers. That's right. Sign up for the newsletter so you can get great shipping and specials on all of his products. Everything at BigPapaSmokers.com has been Pitmaster approved by Sterling Big Papa Ball himself. From the award-winning rubs and sauces to the American-made grills and smokers. 13 perfectly balanced flavors. You know they're my favorite rub. Nobody gets more rubs sent to them than me, unsolicited. And I've said, you know what? F it. I'm just sticking with the stuff that I know and love. That's the Big Papa stuff. So you can enjoy flavors like Sweet Money and Regular Money and Cattle Prod and Cash Cow Double Secret Steak Rub. Just a few. Also, they own Granny's barbecue sauce. So if you want a go-to sauce that works well right out of the bottle, it's great. If you want a good base sauce that you can mess around with, you can go ahead and make that your base. Tinker till your heart's content. Aside from the sauces and rubs, they got smokers and grills. That's right. If you're looking for a versatile smoker that's easy to use, check out that Mac 2-Star General Pellet Grill. Big Papa's the exclusive Mac dealer, even offering special packages. It's clear that Big Papa's the place to go for all things barbecue. Everything on the website, hand-selected to help you barbecue better than the rest. Boost your skills with the help of Big Papa Smokers. Call them if you have questions, 877-828-0727. That's 877-828-0727. Or shop the website, bigpapasmokers.com. That's BIGPOPPA Smokers.com. We are back with Andy Staples right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
And this portion brought to you by cookinpellets.com, your #1 source for quality wood pellets for all your pellet-driven cookers. Visit cookinpellets.com for more information or to purchase. You can get it at Amazon.com as well if you want. But I say try first going to either a dealer or go directly to cookinpellets.com and hook up with the best pellets out there. My next guest first appeared on the show October 17th of 2017. He's widely considered to be the main authority when it comes to covering the world of college football, and he does it for The Athletic. And he also hosts the Andy Staples Show and Friends podcast, which can be found on your various podcast platforms. Tonight we're talking about a wager that he came out ahead on, and quite frankly, I thought it was a sucker's bet when we initially made it via the tweeter. So let's go ahead and get after it. We race to the hotline and welcome back Andy Staples to the show. Hey, Andy.
What's up, Greg? I did think I was losing that bet. Week 1 of the NFL season, I thought I was done. I was ready to just order your brisket and send it to you, and then the Browns caught fire.
It's of the likes I couldn't possibly conceive. And people, well, why would you take a dump all over the Browns? They were really on the come last year, and blah. I've seen and heard since 1999 how the next, like our favorite time of year was the draft, right? That was the thing that Browns fans could really cling to. We're going to have a great draft next year, remember? But it never panned out, and the coaching. But we'll get into that stuff here in just a second. Before we get into that, let me ask you a question. You know, the last time you were on this show, I told you about the Barbecue Hall of Fame, which I believe you immediately laughed at. I said that Guy Fieri was in there, blah, blah, blah. You were unaware that the Barbecue Hall of Fame existed, which many people are completely unaware of. But did you know that after your appearance on this show in late 2017, months later, you would actually wind up being part of the inaugural class that made up the very first Barbecue Central Show guest Hall of Fame? How about that?
What?
Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes, one of
I'm
our
impressed.
embedded correspondents, who is no longer with the show, made a great case for you. He fell in love with you right off the bat. There were a lot of technical things that led up to your interview that you probably didn't know about, but basically the show was off the air for like the first 14 minutes. And then at minute 15, boom, we just came right back on. You were there, and we meshed, and away we went. But on the strength of that alone, you are into the Barbecue Central Show Guest Hall of Fame.
That is beautiful. I solved your IT issues unknowingly.
Yes, that's right. Is this the first Hall of Fame of any sort that you've been a part of, or is this just one of the many?
100%.
Really?
This is 100% the first Hall of Fame I have ever been a part of. I've been thrown out of a few Hall of Fame inductions, dinners.
Yeah.
I've had to cover some of those, but I mean, no, I've never actually been a part of one, and I got to say, I'm touched.
All right, inaugural class to boot. So you're right in there, right from the beginning. Are you familiar with Meathead at AmazingRibs.com?
I am. Yep.
Do you know what you both have in common?
Other than a love of smoked meat.
Of course.
And we're both fairly big guys because I've seen pictures.
Yes. Journalism majors from the University of Florida.
Wow, he came up with such a better way to use his degree than I did.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Well,
genius. So That means he is probably the second most successful journalism grad at the University of Florida, behind Bob Vila.
I was going to say behind you, but I mean, I guess we're splitting hairs at this point.
I mean, it goes Bob Vila, Meathead, Aaron Andrews. I think that's how we're going to go.
Bob Vila, this old house Bob Vila?
Yes.
But he's not a journalist.
Yeah, but he made a lot more money than I did.
Yeah.
So I'll take it.
Oh, so okay. So we're gauging popularity of journalism in what's in the bank, more or less.
Listen, I didn't need to major in journalism. That didn't help me get a job in journalism. They were like, "Where have you written? What have you done?" And fortunately, the University of Florida has an incredible school newspaper called the Independent Florida Alligator. That's where I learned to do what I do, and that's how I got jobs. And it was fantastic. But if I'd have known that I could have gone into barbecue as a career, if anybody told me that was even a possibility, I mean, it's nice to go to football games for a living, but cooking barbecue for a living is probably even better.
Yeah. As I had mentioned at the top, you cover college football for The Athletic. How has this year covering the sport been for you, both positive and negative?
I'm glad they're playing. It's been a tough year, and just the months of will they play? How will they play? Is this even going to happen? That was pretty rough, and I felt bad for all the people I write about, the athletic directors, the coaches, the players, all those people, because they didn't know, and you kept asking them questions like, "Look, I don't know what's going to happen," and they've gone through a bunch, getting tested over and over and over to get to play. The players wanted to play; they wanted to have a season, and in varying degrees, they've had one. It kind of depends on what part of the country you're in. You're from Big Ten country; it's been a lot more trying for them than it has anywhere else. But I'm glad they got it done. I'm also going to be glad when this one's over, because the vaccines are coming out. There's hope on the horizon. I'd like to see a normal season next year. This one, it'll be nice, and they'll crown a national champion, and maybe there'll be some good games in the playoff. But I think it's done what it needed to do, and it's time to move on to the next one.
Andy Staples joining me here on the show from The Athletic. Do you think anything will carry over to next normal season that was introduced during the COVID timeframe?
I am praying the flexible scheduling does, because previously college athletic directors said, "Oh, wait, we need like 10 years to schedule a college football game. We got to schedule them 10 years in advance." Well, this year, perhaps the best game of the year, BYU at Coastal Carolina, was scheduled on 2 days' notice. Coastal Carolina was supposed to play Liberty. Liberty calls, they're like, "We got some COVID problems, so we can't come." And they're like, "Hey, BYU, you wanna drive your semi from Provo and just show up here in Conway, South Carolina?" Hopefully, by the way, barbecue tangent here. Hopefully they stopped at Rodney Scott's place in Hemingway, South Carolina, because that is an institution, and it is not far from Conway, South Carolina. In fact, the first time I went to Scott Barbecue in Hemingway, I was on my way to Conway.
Nice. So let's go ahead and get into it here. So months ago, the NFL season gets underway, and we make a bet of brisket, where I said the Browns would win 5 or less games. You championed the Browns, said they would win 6 or more. You didn't say that, but obviously that's the side you were going to be taking. And then
I did think they were going to be good this year, because they were the trendy pick last year, and they fell on their faces. But the same reasons why they were the trendy pick last year made them potentially good this year. So I was like, all right, they don't have to be great. They just have to be slightly below average. I can handle that.
People dumped on me heavily when I said 5 or less. And I said, okay, well, you had, the 2 years prior to that, Baker Mayfield comes in, 2 or 3 games in the season, whatever it was, and I think they ended up, winning 7 games or whatever it was. They make Freddie Kitchens the head coach the next year. This is the fall on your face that you're talking about. And I said, hey, these are my Browns that I have become accustomed to. I've seen every single bad sports moment in Cleveland live and in person. The drive against Denver, the fumble against the Bills. The shot in Richfield Coliseum. Saw it all live as a youth. So losing on the highest levels was like burned into my soul. So there was no surprise when the Browns fell on their face last year. And then when everybody was talking, well, you got OBJ and what's going to be different? Yet another new coach, yet another new offensive scheme that the quarterback is going to. We've had 78 quarterbacks. There's nothing in my head that says they're going to be able to squeak out more. 5, I thought, was a gift. There were plenty of years when I said 3 or less, and they won 1 or 0. So I was really feeling myself and thinking that a brisket was headed my way. But obviously, you have a little bit more experience on the football side of things and saw through the myopic murk that I live in.
Listen, you've earned that distrust of the Browns. I don't blame you one bit. If I had lived through that, I would feel the same way. I grew up a South Carolina football fan, and so Gamecocks fans understand, until I was in high school, they had never won a bowl game. They played football for over 100 years before they won a bowl game.
Wow.
So I understand the concept of being kicked in the stomach by your team pretty much on an annual basis.
When you look at where the Browns are, they lose a heartbreaker last night to Baltimore, which is a double kick in the balls because it's Baltimore, which used to be the Cleveland Browns, of course. Do you think a lot of the Browns' success has to do almost singularly with Kevin Stefanski and what he has instituted with the team?
I think he understands what they do well. I think part of it is, listen, when you have a guy like Myles Garrett, when you have an elite pass rusher, that makes everything easier defensively. That everybody else's job becomes easier. But also, when you have a running game like they have, their offensive line is pretty good, and I'll take Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt. And that travels. You can win in non-fluky ways with guys like that. And I think that's what it is. Now, when you see them play against some of the better teams, it doesn't always translate. But, I mean, look, what they did to the Titans a couple weeks ago, that looks like a team that can be a playoff team, that could even win a game in the playoffs. So they're right there knocking on the door. Now, unfortunately, Monday night they had some issues with Lamar Jackson, who had something knocking on the door, and he left the field of play, and Trace McSorley came in, and then he came back and led the Ravens to victory. But, listen, if you can take the Cleveland Browns to the Super Bowl and then beat the Cleveland Browns, then you're doing all right.
Do you think last night that they got too much into the pass and got away from the run a little bit, or do you think it was more the fact that for weeks Lamar has been nowhere to be found, and then he just reemerged and found himself, albeit at the Browns' expense?
I think both teams were just taking what the defenses were giving them at the time.
There was no defense, right? I mean, both teams score 40-plus points.
Exactly.
There's no defense, right?
If I'm the Browns, I'm not really running the ball because I can chuck it down the field and make chunk plays over and over and over again. And then, for the Ravens, Lamar running was working, but when they needed him to throw, he was very effective at the end. So, and that's the thing. But I will forever love the Browns now. I grew up a Dolphins fan, and I've kind of fallen out of, I don't have an NFL team anymore, really. I just kind of follow different players and coaches. But I'm forever a Browns fan because I got to smoke a Wagyu brisket, which is probably something I never would have tried to do on my own. I never would have thought I'm going to spend this money because I'm afraid of cooking brisket, terrified of cooking brisket because it's hard.
Yep.
I'm from the South. I'm from pulled pork country. Smoking pork butts is the easiest thing in the world. Anybody can smoke a pork butt. It doesn't take much skill. And so I love doing that. I love doing spare ribs. These are, low degree of difficulty. I ventured out into pork belly burn ends during the pandemic, during the lockdown period. But to have this beautiful marbled brisket. But the thing is, if I do it again, I may smoke a Wagyu brisket again because it is so marbled that it almost is like that idiot proof like the pork is, because it's hard to dry it out. And the pictures I took of it when I took it off, people are like, "Why are you cutting it lengthwise?" I'm not. It's falling apart. It's like a pork butt. I feel like I should pull this thing. And so I want to try that again because I think I think I let it get too hot. I cooked it to what I would cook a standard brisket to, which was like 203.
Yeah.
And I would like to do it about 8 degrees cooler and see if it doesn't fall apart. But it tasted amazing. And the burn ends that I made when I sliced off the point, they were tremendous.
What flavor profile
I had
are you?
burn-in sandwiches. So I am with brisket. I am very basic. I just want to do salt and pepper. I don't want anything because I feel like the beef will handle that. Like if I'm doing pork, I'm gonna go a little on the sweeter side. I want the sweet and savory. But with brisket, I feel like just salt and pepper, you will get a little. I guess it's caramelization. I'm not exactly sure what the scientific reasoning for it is, but you get a kind of natural sweetness out of that. And I don't feel like you need to do much more than that. I used oak chunks. I just have a big green egg. I don't have a fancy setup, but I obviously I've been to Texas enough times to know post oak if you're cooking brisket, and that imparts, I think, the right flavor on it too, and it gives it a little sweetness. But then the salt and pepper, just that I don't feel like you need to do anymore.
Was there anybody that was at your house eating this, somebody that was not necessarily a brisket fan to begin with, and then they gave this one a shot and were immediately converted? Because what I have found is this. I have 3 daughters. One's in college, sophomore. I got a senior in high school. I got a freshman in high school. Being who I am has immediately made them what I would call meat bitches, which is snobs, in other words. So if it's not prime or better, the nose goes up. And what the hell is this? Tell Kevin
this steak hasn't been dry aged for 30 days.
Right. So this is like the blessing and the curse of the higher end meat. So did you have somebody that tried it and was like, oh, this is it?
My wife is not normally, she does like steak, but she's not normally any other kind of beef fan. And her exact words were, nothing should be this good. So, I mean, and the thing was, she's allergic to tomatoes, so she couldn't even try the burnt ends because the burnt ends had some sauce on them.
Yep.
But the brisket, I mean, she sat there and picked at it for like an hour and a half.
Good. So well worth it.
Outstanding. No, it was outstanding. And the place that you got it from, I believe, is a butcher shop in Pensacola, Florida. I will call them again if I need anything, because that was outstanding.
Let's go ahead and end here. I got a list from Robert Moss, who is actually sits on the board of the Barbecue Hall of Fame, believe it or not, and the names thing. So he's just put out the top 10 best colleges in the South as it relates to barbecue. And I would figure if anybody is more of an authority than Robert Moss, it's got to be you, since this is your wheelhouse here. Number 10 is Southern Methodist University, and he cites Pecan Lodge or Pecan Lodge and Slow Bone and Cattleback, which isn't too far north from there. That's
Cadillac,
10 on the list.
Cadillac's a little bit of a drive. Lockhart Smokehouse and Pecan Lodge are very close to SMU. So I can live with that.
Number 9 is East Carolina University in Greensville, North Carolina.
Yeah. Bee's Barbecue in Greenville, but then the Skylight Inn in Ayden is only about a 20-minute drive away.
Right. He also notes Sam Jones Barbecue, which is obviously the son and
same
or
family,
brand.
yes.
Yep, there you go. Number 8 is Catawba College in Salisbury, North Carolina.
Yeah, my North Carolina barbecue knowledge is pathetic. And the reason is the football teams in North Carolina have not been good enough.
Yes.
They just have not. Like every once in a while I get to go up there. Like when Russell Wilson was at NC State, I got to go up there and do a story. And I go to Chapel Hill every once in a while. But like I still haven't been to Lexington barbecue. And it's a big problem. But like the one time I went to Chapel Hill, I went over to Greenville actually to meet Lincoln Riley, who is the OC at East Carolina. He's now the head coach at Oklahoma, but that was the first time I got to go to Skylight Inn, and thank goodness for that.
7 is a tie between Rice and the University of Houston.
Yeah, okay, so where Houston barbecue is pretty spread out, because now Pinkerton is kind of close to downtown. So that would be fairly close to U of H. But you got to go out to Pearland for Killins. So the problem with Houston is it's just so big, and you're driving a long way. But I understand the Houston Metroplex has great barbecue.
This is the only one that I seem to have a problem with. I have no concept of geography, especially anywhere outside of Ohio and specifically regional Cleveland. The amount of great barbecue restaurants that he just mentioned: Fiji's, Ray's Barbecue, Regal's, Papa Charlie's, Triple, Blood Brothers, Truth, Killins, as you had mentioned, Tejas Chocolate. There's no way that this tie should be at 7th. This should be a tie for 2nd place. 3rd, maybe, but 7th is way down the list. Those are some of the biggest names in Texas for barbecue.
Well, and that's the thing. The Texas cities have such a concentration, especially the big cities in Texas, have such a concentration of good barbecue places. The rest of the states really can't compete.
So 6th is the University of Memphis. So you have Barbecue Shop, A&R Interstate. Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, all of the biggies.
5th is Vanderbilt in Nashville, of course. Let me ask you something.
Nashville barbecue, it's funny. Yeah, Nashville's not a great barbecue town.
It's like it's almost like Cleveland. There's like 3 really good barbecue spots in town. Except I feel like Nashville feels like they should be more respected in barbecue because they're in the South.
Well, it's weird because Nashville's a great food town, but it is not a great barbecue town, if that makes sense. So you have like Martin's and Peg Leg Porker and all that, but you should have more iconic places in a city of that size in the South. That's just all I'm thinking.
Number 4, University of South Carolina.
Oh yeah, well, so Columbia, South Carolina, my hometown. I was born 2 miles from campus at Baptist Hospital in Columbia.
Wow.
And so South Carolina barbecue, obviously it has its regions, but in the Midlands, your typical barbecue restaurant is a buffet, which I wonder, I haven't got a chance to go there since COVID, but the barbecue buffet concept is not as widespread anywhere else. And it's one of those things where that as a kid, you could go and depending on what time of day you went, because they put ribs on the buffet at night, but not at lunch. But you could always get pulled pork and you get chicken. And, the ones in Columbia are pretty good. But if you really want to see the best of that format, you go down to Holly Hill, South Carolina, which is about an hour south. And there's a place called Sweatman's. They're only open Friday and Saturday. Whole hog, the rest of the week they're basically cutting down trees to feed the smokers. So it is an experience unlike any other.
3rd is the University of Alabama. So obviously Dreamland comes into play.
Not
have you eaten
Dreamland,
a Dreamland?
No.
Never?
I have been to Dreamland. Dreamland was good. It got to a point where I think it changed ownership and got too big too fast. And it's just, if you go to Dreamland on a random Tuesday, it's fine.
Yep.
If you try to go on an Alabama game day or the day before, they're going to hand you a bunch of dry ribs because they've just cranked the heat to move units. The place to go, and it's not in Tuscaloosa, it's actually in Northport, which is one town over on Martin Luther King. It's called Archibald's. It looks like some guy's house, and it is my favorite ribs in America.
Really? Wow.
Yes.
All right. Number 2 is the College of Charleston in Charleston, South Carolina.
Yeah. My Rodney Scott, the guy I mentioned, doing stuff there. That they've got some. I believe one of the original guys from Franklin Barbecue has opened a place there.
Lewis Barbecue.
And I'll give a shout out to my dad's favorite place because he grew up in Charleston. And this is a place that the barbecue snobs probably aren't huge fans of, but Robert's Barbecue, little mustard based pulled pork sandwiches. That was what I was raised on. If we had, if we said we were having barbecue, that was what you had. You had a pulled pork sandwich with mustard based sauce.
Yeah, I love mustard based sauce. By the way, have you ever had Reverend Marvin's mustard sauce by chance?
I have not.
No, all right. I don't even know if that's even out anymore, but it was quite a hit when I first got into the scene. Number 1 for best barbecue on campus, University of Texas in Austin, goes without saying. Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
Of course.
Hard to lose.
Yeah. It's pretty hard when you've got, 10 iconic places within a 2 square mile area. It's insane. I mean, that you've got Franklin, you've got LaBarbecue, you've got Styles Switch, you've got Micklethwaite, you've got Leroy and Lewis. I mean, you just can't go wrong.
Nope, no doubt. All right, last question before I let you go, and appreciate the time, Andy. Agree or disagree? Onions in any form are the worst.
I hate raw onions. They make me gag. I can live with cooked onions, but you put a raw onion in, when you order pizza back in the day, and they'd accidentally throw one onion in there when they were putting the toppings on, it would ruin the entire pizza for me.
Yeah. All right. Well, finally, I found somebody that is also opposed to onions, mostly in the raw form. Only cooked only under protest, unless it's at my house, and then I just won't eat it. But if I'm at somebody else's house and it's cooked under protest, but raw onions, F that.
Nice.
They're like
you can
the worst.
Get it down. Yeah.
People say I have a 4-year-old palate, but I mean, if I don't like onions, fuck off. I don't care. It's my house.
We can talk about mayo later.
You like mayo or no?
No.
No.
Gag reflex activated if it even touches
Really?
it.
Did you have a food experience with mayo?
Yes, when I was in daycare, the bologna sandwiches they handed out had mayo on them, and I hated it. But they were like, "You will eat this." So I lost a bet earlier this season on my podcast, and what was it? It was NC State beat Pittsburgh. I had bet on Pittsburgh, and my co-host had bet on NC State, and I had to eat a spoonful of mayonnaise. So I went out and bought Duke's mayonnaise, which is supposed to be the best, and I'm thinking, okay, maybe I can get this down. Maybe it's better. Everybody says it's better than other mayonnaise. And so he picks out this giant spoon for me to use, and I get it right, and I just gag.
Wow.
It is as close as you can come to vomiting on video as you'll get.
Wow. So your mayo is like my Jägermeister. For no good reason.
Yeah,
if I smell it or
to,
I taste it, like immediately I want to vomit. I get it. So when is the Andy Staples Show coming out on podcast? You releasing every week or when you feel like it? What do you do?
We are, during the football season, Sunday mornings, Wednesday mornings, Friday mornings. And then once football season ends, we're going to shift to a regular Monday, Wednesday, Friday distribution. But it's 3 days a week, and we have a lot of fun. We talk college football. We rank things that sometimes have nothing to do with college football. We had a great mall food court food ranking a few weeks ago that was it was spectacular. I learned my co-host is a complete psychopath, but it was good.
You can find him also at Andy_Staples on the Twitter. Give him a follow. Well worth it, especially if you like college football and food. He's a good one to go back and forth with. Andy, really appreciate the time tonight. Thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you, and thank you for the brisket. Thank you, Baker Mayfield. Thank you, Myles Garrett. I love you.
All right, we'll see you later. There he is, Andy Staples, right there. Winning the bet, by the way. All right, we went long for that, but that was good. Andy hold on. Andy Staples on the show, so let's see. By the way, The Athletic is who he writes for. Andy_Staples on the Twitter. Winning the Wagyu non-crossbred Wylara brisket. All right, let me talk to you quickly about Pits and Spits. Since 1983, they've been handcrafting smokers and grills in Houston. In that time, Pits and Spits has established itself as one of the premier brands in high-quality offset smokers, and more recently, pellet cookers. Pits and Spits sets itself apart by using Heaven's 7 and 10 gauge stainless steel in every cooker, fully welded construction you can feel with every unit, 304 stainless roll-top lids, and front shelves on every single smoker. Why does it matter? Well, by using higher quality materials, Pits and Spits smokers reach and maintain temperatures, allowing you to worry more about the meat than the heat, and providing fully welded smokers. Now you don't have to worry about the grease and the smoke rolling out of the barrel and the grill rattling apart as you move it through the backyard. 304 stainless gives you an heirloom quality product that you can pass down to the kids. When we talk about low-cost providers, Pits and Spits isn't even interested in any of that. Are there cheaper ways to make their stuff? Yes, but they don't like tack weld, cheap stainless, electronics that you can't trust. Having in-house manufacturing gives them complete control of the design and standards. It's not something you find with stuff brought in from overseas. Their steel supplier supplies material to be used in some of the harshest environments around, so they will perform in any condition. Are their controllers made in the U.S.? Yes. So they have unimpeded transparency into their programming. Call Pitts and Spitz if you want to ask them any questions and you don't have a dealer near you. At pittsandspitz.com is their handle on social. The phone number, 844-650-6250. That's 844-650-6250. Whether you're a backyard grill master looking to cook steaks for the family or a competition team looking to smoke 50 racks of rib, Pitts and Spitz is the product for you. Check out all their products at their website, pittsandspitz.com, all spelled out. That's pittsandspitz.com. We're back to wrap the first hour and get into the second. Quickly, stick around, be right back.
Continuing to produce incredibly mediocre content in an exceptionally professional way. You're listening and watching the Barbecue Central Show. Once again, here's your host, Greg Rempe.
All right, welcome back. This portion brought to you by Fireboard 2 and Fireboard 2 Drive and Fireboard 2 Pro with the thermocouples. Monitor up to 6 different temperatures simultaneously. Connect to Wi-Fi for cloud-based monitoring or connect via Bluetooth. If you have Alexa or the Google Assistant in your home, you're in luck because Fireboard 2 and Drive fully integrated with both. Find out more by visiting fireboard.com. Or call 816-945-2232. That's 816-945-2232. It's Fireboard 2. All right, we thank Andy Staples again for joining me, writing for The Athletic, covering their college football scene at Andy_Staples on the Twitter if you want to give him a follow. We also thank Stephen Reichlen for joining me in the first interview segment. And we are late. Let's get to that second hour, shall we? Stick around. We'll be right back.
Happy to have you aboard here for the really big barbecue show.
Boing.
We cook because we have to, and we grill because we want to.
Hit me.
Fine, how's it going?
You have a great show. I'm a big fan.
Boing.
So what seems to be the problem here? This man looks like he's dead, and he's in the crackle.
Charbono! It's all about the Charbono, dude!
Succulent fish! What?
He ate 2 feet or wiener.
But listen, Lavernius, shake your face.
I'm shaking like a dog shit peach seeds.
We have top men working on it right now. Top men.
All right, just like that, we are into the second hour. Welcome in. It's the Barbecue Central Show, the live fire fun and frivolity show. If you missed the first hour, shame on you, but don't worry, we're recording video and audio at the same time. First hour will be available tomorrow in the morning early, and the second hour on Thursday in the morning early. Don't forget, still to come on this show, Robin Lindars from grillgirl.com. A quickly fast-growing favorite part of the show right here is the Watch Cam segment. So we'll go Watch Cam right now. There it is. A watch. Stephen DeFranco is the jeweler here as well, where we saw it. But this is a Philippine Company Diver 55. Dual-colored bezel. It's black for 40 minutes around. And it's blue for 20 minutes. That's specifically for, like, divers. I mean, like, the chance of me ever going into the water with this watch is 0%. So let me pull this one off for you and give you a quick look around here. and exciting. By the way, this is an automatic watch, so it is fully decorated with the ETA 2824-2 mechanical automatic movement. And what I have come to find out in my years of watch collecting is the stuff with the quartz and the batteries and stuff, they don't really hold their value, but this watch, if you buy it and then you want to look to sell it 10 or 15 years down the road because it's an automatic movement watch, this will hold its value. So whatever you pay for it now, there's a more than 90% chance that if you decide to sell it in 15 years, whatever you paid for it, you will at least get that back out of it. So from an investment standpoint, not too bad either, but I love the black. I love the blue. What can I tell you? I'm that kind of watch guy. Don't forget, coming up on the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less this Friday is episode 155. So make sure that you are subscribed to the podcast in order to take part in the Best Moments show. We're counting down to one more. Next week will be 3 solid years of best of shows, if you can believe it or not. John Solberg has been putting together and executing, engineering, hosting, and producing the Barbecue Central show, the best moments of the Barbecue Central show in 10 minutes or less for 3 years. Holy moly. Look at you, John. Congratulations. All right, let's go ahead and make way for Robin Lindars from The Grill Girl. I'll quickly talk to you about Southside Market. Established in 1882, Southside Market and Barbecue is the oldest barbecue joint in Texas. They've been owned and operated by the same family for 3 generations. Offering premium Central Texas barbecue products, slow smoked over real wood, shipping, distributing, and manufacturing sausages from companies across the U.S. From food trucks to multi-chain restaurants, Southside Sausage can be on your menu as well. All meats are processed in that on-site USDA-inspected facility, a trusted partner with a focus on quality and authenticity. Wholesale options are available, shipping nationwide via the FedEx, although I hate them right now. Food service distribution through Cisco, U.S. Foods, and Martin Foods. Co-packaging capable from research and development to package completion. They can follow your recipe or help you develop something brand new from scratch. They also have private label opportunities available as well. Visit SouthsideMarket.com for more information or to get your online shopping done. Visit SouthsideMarket.com, and as you're checking out, use promo code BBQ Central, 10% off your entire online order each time, every time. That's promo code BBQ Central, all lowercase and one word, for 10% off your entire order at SouthsideMarket.com. Robin is in the green room. She's ready to rock and roll to close out 2020. I'm ready to rock and roll right along. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Monthly visits from a killer hog, a cooking guy, a man named Meathead, the author of Barbecue Bible, a grill girl, a bristly barbecue journalist, and the malfeasance of the barbecue world known as the embedded correspondents. Only found right here on the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion of the show being brought to you by Pit Barrel Cooker, the most unbelievable outdoor cooking device on the planet. Currently available in 2 sizes, a host of accessories to boot. Whether you're a beginner or professional, this is definitely a cooker you want to add to the arsenal. Visit pitbarrelcooker.com and tell them the Barbecue Central Show sent you. It is the 3rd Tuesday of the month, and you know what that means. It is a visit from the creator of grillgirl.com, Robin Lindars. Hey, Robin!
Hey! Happy holidays!
Happy holidays to you and yours, Robin, at Robot Ranch.
Yes.
You are
exciting time.
Yeah, you're making very big progress. I saw perhaps a Pootmeister over there throwing cement down for like foundations and whatnot.
Yeah. It's coming together. We're actually going to have bees on the property too. So Maybe
What?
when one Christmas you'll get bees from me. Yeah.
Are you saying bees?
Yes.
Like
bees,
honeybees?
like honeybees. It's super interesting. I'm gonna have to get a beekeeper suit. I'm gonna have to put one on my list for Christmas. But
Did you know that only bees and dogs can smell fear?
Really?
Yes. How about that?
Well, alrighty. Who knew?
Now you know.
Who knew?
I knew that.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So just real quick, because I know we're going to get into the other stuff, but it is kind of interesting. So in order to get your tax exemption, you can do things like keep a cow or like your agriculture certificate, your agriculture. Basically, it's how you lighten your taxes, if you will. And so I'm not beekeeping, but we're allowing people to keep bees on our property. Basically they need a place for the bees to go, and we're happy to have them, and I'll get a little honey out of it. And yeah, kind of exciting. And I'll get to share the experience with you guys, because I think it's kind of cool to see how it works. So
are you charging like beehive rent to these people?
No, I mean, for us it works because we'll get like our tax exemption, and then we'll get some free honey. But it's kind of interesting just to see the whole process that I'm learning more about it. They actually take the bees. This guy takes all his bees, and then he puts them in a semi, and then he transports them. Yeah, they put them in a truck, and they transfer all these bees to California to pollinate the almond trees. Isn't that crazy? And then they bring them back.
Really?
You guys will hear more about this. I'll have more honey recipes on my website. I'll probably have more honey in my marinades and things maybe in 2021.
The only thing that I'm seeing about honey these days is a State Farm commercial where the guy offers Jake from State Farm chunk honey. He pulls one of those panels out of the hive and he just starts eating it. I don't even think that really happens in real life. Maybe it does. I don't know. But I was both grotesque and fascinated all at the same time. But my wife's aunt used to keep many hives down in southern Ohio. And that was the gift that we looked forward to the most every year, is we would get 2 big mason jars full of Southeast Ohio honey. And it had a really deep caramel color, and the flavor was incredible. But the most unique thing that I had come to learn was if you eat honey that is local to you, it has a tendency to wipe out your seasonal allergies. So that was an additional benefit of eating honey, aside from just being delicious. It goes in my barbecue sauce, and my wife will put it in tea and all this other crap. But it's actually a good health benefit, especially if you suffer from allergies. You should find some local honey around you and start consuming it. It will help you out.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So maybe one day I'll sell Grill Girl honey, because the guy who's putting it on our land is just purely wholesale guy. And what was funny is all the stuff that we've been trying to get removed off the property is the stuff that the bees supposedly the best. All the invasive species we've been trying to remove is what they are attracted to. So who knew? Life is funny, but yeah, never a dull moment. So good stuff going on.
So are you saving, is it a property tax thing that you're getting out of, or what? Getting out of kind of a weird phrase, should I say, maneuvering around, or what do we want to say to make it not sound illegal?
No, it's legal. It's just you get a lower tax. You get a different tax exemption for doing agriculture type stuff on your land.
Yeah. So how much space is this guy taking up? Is he putting down 500 hives or 50? Or what are we looking at from a space standpoint and in a sheer volume?
I just met with him the other day, so I don't totally know. I mean, they looked at a couple places, and we'll see. Oh, that's to be continued.
Oh, so he hasn't given you we're going to use the robot ranch space yet? He's got other potential properties in mind?
Well, no, he's definitely going to do it. He has hives on 600 other places, and they came and checked it out, and we signed a certificate the other day, and we're going to do it.
Look at this.
Yeah.
So what kind of volume is this guy pumping out? I mean, gallons, would you guess? 9,000 gallons or 50? Or I don't even know how much a lot of honey is.
These big barrels, but I can't remember what he said.
Are they
but it's enough that
55-gallon barrels, you think? Food grade barrels?
Yeah. The drums,
yes.
I think.
That's got to be 50 gallons at least.
It's a lot. I mean, he sells it only wholesale, and he sells it to some guy out of Miami who bottles it and sells it at Publix. So it's enough to sell at a major supermarket chain.
Unbelievable. Well,
Yeah,
this is very
crazy,
exciting.
right? I'm learning all kinds of crazy stuff. I thought the thing that was most interesting was that they transport the bees to pollinate them. I mean, to pollinate stuff in California. Could you imagine seeing just like a semi truck full of bees just going down the road?
I can't imagine how they even get them to stay in the hive without, I mean, you know what it's like rolling down the road. Now imagine you're a bee in a hive. You're getting tossed around willy-nilly in the back of a dry van trailer. I would imagine by the time you open that door for the first time, they're like a swarm ready to get the hell out of there.
Oh yeah, no, I can't wait to like live stream this for you guys. It's got to be like super interesting.
I can't wait.
So
And then we get
I'll
to
be
see
buying my
your bee harvesting on Robot Ranch, and so are you going to start beegirl.com?
You know, who the heck knows? I think we'll just add honey recipes for now. Maybe we'll sell it one day. Who the heck knows? I feel like 2021. You know, it's got to be. Yeah, we got lots of options. So, really coming into my own over there. So Good stuff.
All right, so we have a week and a half left before Christmas hits, and one of the things that you are most well known for is the yearly gift guide, and you're celebrating your 10th year in existence of gift guide recommending. So congrats on that. What are we looking at from a gift? Like, what are you suggesting people get for their live fire lover?
Well, there's this one new grill on the market that I just think is the coolest thing. And whenever I post pictures of this grill, there it is. It's the Gold Chef grill. I discovered this grill. This guy's out of Miami, and he reached out to me. That's where I used to live. And so what it is it's very similar to, it's basically like a salamander, like a portable salamander, or like a, like what are they called? The Auto Wild grills, or like a beefer, except this one is, it cooks vertically. So the fat drips down to the bottom. You can easily remove it. And then you can also put a rotisserie in it, which is super cool. And then you put it in a little backpack and you can transport it. And I just think it's really fun because it comes with all the accessories and it's easy to use for like me and Scott. You do a couple steaks.
Can you do more than one at a time on that thing?
You can do like 2 steaks at a time, 2 big steaks, or like 4 or 5 chicken breasts. What I think is really cool is you can also do like El Pastor, or like roasted chicken. I roast snipe because Scott, that's his bird, is snipe, which are like small little chickens. But yeah, what I love about it is it's just so darn easy. And it's like basically like setting up an infrared, heating like an infrared grill, on a table. It's like a little tabletop infrared grill. But, usually when you see these beefers or the Auto Wilds, they're like about $1,000, $999-ish.
Oh, yeah.
And this one retails at $299. And I have a promo code that if you guys want to get one, it's $130 off. So it's a really killer deal if you go to my website and look at the promo code is like you'll have to look at it. So I think it's GC01. But yeah, it's a great deal. I put that on Instagram a couple weeks ago and people went crazy for it. And you'll see a lot of reviews on this grill. People are really excited about it. So that's I think that's my fun pick for something under $500 for someone who wants something easy. You get the whole grilling experience. So that's probably like the number one on my list this year. And then I've got some old standbys. I've got the Green Mountain Grill, Daniel Boone, because I feel like everyone's still getting in their pellet. Some people are still starting on their pellet journey. We've been doing this for a while, right, Greg? But and I think these days people have so many options in the world of pellet smokers. But what I know I can recommend is that the Green Mountain Grill, they've always been there for me as far as like their customer service. I feel like they continue to innovate their technology. So yeah, that's another one I recommend if people are looking to get into pellet smoking. I've got some fun stocking stuffer type items. Like I think everyone should, even if you are not in the market for a new grill, there's a lot of people who might have shitty grills where the grates are burned out, and but maybe you don't have the money to buy like that grill you want. You can get more life out of it by using some grill grates. A lot of people get those just so they can resuscitate an old grill. So grill grates are great for just about anyone who. This is actually, I took some pictures from some steak cook-offs I did for these. But yeah, so grill grates are what you'll see everyone in the SCA, the Steak Cook-Off Association, using to get those really kick-ass char marks. And the beauty of these is that if you flip them over, then you can use the grill grates as a griddle. So it's got the added bonus to that as well. So really what it can do is extend the life of your grill, give you kick-ass char marks, and also give you basically that whole flat top cooking experience that a lot of people are really into, So that's another one. And then I have some fun ones. This is something that I discovered this year that I think is really fun. It's the Hamama microgreens kit. And this is just, the idea behind it is that microgreens pack a nutritional punch. And so, you'd have to eat and get like so many stalks of broccoli to get like the same amount of nutrients that you might get in like microgreens, right? And so you grow these in like 7 days. You put them on. You cannot kill them, because trust me, if you could, I would have done that by now. And so pretty much, anyone anywhere can grow some veg, and it's easy to just chop some up, put it on a salad, put it on whatever. It's like garnish, right? And so I've been loving it just as someone who likes to take food photos. You always need a pop of green to lighten up all that brown, right? Like as barbecue and grilling people, think about your Instagram feed. It's always like brown, 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 so much brown. Now you get that pop of green to lighten up your photos, but just also a nutritional punch. So I got some of those earlier this year, and people were just like, oh my God, where'd you get that? Are you an ambassador for them? And I'm like, no, I'm not an ambassador for them. I just think this is cool. And then you can start like mix and matching your seeds, So I think there's a lot of opportunity with these especially if they start coming out with things outside of like fenugreek and watercress and all the different stuff. Maybe to mix in with marinades, I think could be really cool. So those are just a few of the things I'm recommending this year. And there's always, of course, homemade gifts as well. I think s'mores kits are always fun for the griller in your life or for their kids. Marshmallows, chocolate, graham crackers, and you can, decorate it cute and get your kids involved. And this is like a fun thing to give to like friends or hostess gifts or, neighbors or whatever, or just those random gifts with it, so you're not caught off guard. You have a bunch created in your back pocket and you can gift them. So this is something I've been doing for a couple years because I love s'mores. Kids love s'mores, and you can make a s'mores kit with all your basic ingredients, a mason jar, and skewers. Skewers are your roasting stick, and you can do them over your grill, even over, even if you don't do it outside, you can use it on your burner. So just, I like to do DIY gifts too, because it's nice to be thoughtful, right? That's sometimes something homemade really goes a long way versus just something you might order off Amazon,
If you're going to do it homemade, is there a fine line that you can be walking to where you give somebody a gift and it looks like, hey, I didn't want to spend any money on you, so here's this gift? Or, hey, look at this gift I made for you. It's so awesome, blah, blah, blah. How do you make sure that you're not on the former end of that stick?
I think you have to recognize your audience, if you get a cool food, if you do like a fun homemade foodie gift, you only want to make sure that recipient is someone who's really going to appreciate it. Some gifts are lost on certain people, like here's a good example. I have this Meyer lemon tree that I have toted around. It made the move with me last year. I actually have 3, and only one is blooming, or one is producing fruit after like 4 years. And so I've done this before. My last tree before it died was you take these Meyer lemons and you make preserved Meyer lemons, which is you'll see that in like Moroccan cooking, and it's great for making marinades or mixing into a compound butter, or even putting in like salad dressing. And so I have a very finite batch of these Meyer lemons that I grew in my backyard. And so for me to make preserved Meyer lemons, which I have the directions for that on my website, and you don't have to grow them in your backyard. You could just buy them. They have them at Trader Joe's, but it's a fun foodie gift either way. But those are going to people who I only know will like appreciate them, which is one is like my foodie friend here. That's my Instagram friend, and we turned into like real life friends. She's a foodie, and and she's already like, yes, I can't wait. So I think you have to also understand the end person, and if they can appreciate your homemade gifts or not. They're not for everyone,
Is there something that you saw this year? I mean, I understand, as I've talked about since March, that all of a sudden this year has become unlike any other year. Is there one of those gimmicky things like a grill bot or something that Meathead and I talked about last week that, boy, it looked great, but what a piece of shit that was. Is there anything this year that you would steer people away from if they're talking about, ooh, this is what I'm going to get my husband or wife or whatever?
Yeah, it's so funny you mentioned the grill bot, because they tried to send me one of those, like, I want to say 6 years ago.
They tried to sell everybody that had live fire in their name. They just,
Yeah.
It's like the worst
Scott
Father's Day gift ever.
What, you can't clean your own grill? You need a robot to do it? Right. But I keep seeing all these, like, new wireless meat thermometers, like that 1 meter, you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
And they did a big campaign for all the influencers, and they want you to use the meter and blah blah blah. I think that's gimmicky. I don't know. That's just me. I've heard it from others that it was, and it may not even just be the meter. I think there's a couple like that, but they promise the Wi-Fi and they tell you everything, and they're going to make you a perfect cook and yada yada yada. I don't trust it. That's just me. But I think like we are, Greg, you see a lot of stuff come across and you have to be suspect, because for me as a person, like I only have I have a finite amount of storage. Like I have to be like, do I really need this ridiculous gadget in my life? Like, can I press my burgers myself or, whatever. Yeah, I think the meter thermometer it sounds really sexy, but it makes me think of like the sharper image version of like meat thermometers if you were going to get one, like, you know what I mean? I don't think you can go wrong with just the Thermopen still.
Yeah, it's tough for me too. I was just talking with Stephen Reichlen in the first hour. He's tried 3 of them and he was very positive of his review. I think, like a lot of times, especially as you had mentioned with the meter, that thing has been out for years. It did millions of dollars on any number of those crowdfunding websites like Indiegogo and the other Kickstarter. I mean, millions on each website, and then they took forever to trickle out, and they didn't have the Wi-Fi connectivity that they said they were going to have, and the Bluetooth connectivity was like 9 feet or less if you had the top down on the grill. And it was like, who cares? And then it's still nobody was getting them. However, I have to say, with a Stephen Reichlen getting behind it a little bit, Malcolm Reed has also said that he is now a bit of a champion. These are people that hold weight with me. And so I will begin to roll back the disdain that I had for them. But, we'll see. Can I hold you over for a couple more minutes after I get done with this read? All right, stand by. We'll be back with more Robin from Grill Girl. I'll talk to you quickly about the Green Mountain Grills. That's right. Rob just mentioned that. That's on her gift guide for 2020. There's 2 different ones to choose from, a prime line, a choice line, if you want to save some bucks. Here you go. Choice line, Jim Bowie, Daniel Boone. If you want to spend a couple extra bucks because you want some tech, then you can go ahead and get the prime line. You have 2 internal meat probes. You have look-in windows on the main cooking chamber. On the pellet hopper, you have Wi-Fi connectivity, so you can get the Green Mountain Grill app and use that to its fullest extent as well. They also have a Prime Plus, and within the cooking chamber, there's headlights, and I believe that one also offers you a fold-down front shelf where the Prime is fixed, and the choice line doesn't have one. So depending on what you want, A lot of different options to choose from. They do sell through dealers, so go to greenmountaingrills.com and find a dealer near you, and then go visit them if they're taking visitors, where you can learn all about them. And then take one home. You'll be well educated, and you will not have a bad first experience. Everything will be great right off the rip, and you will be headlong into live fire cooking at that point. greenmountaingrills.com. That's greenmountaingrills.com. Accessories, sauces, rubs, and pellets as well over there. Don't forget about that pizza oven insert. That's greenmountaingrills.com. We're back with more Robin from grillgirl.com. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Celebrating over 10 years of prolific and unparalleled live fire barbecue and grilling talk. And yes, it's still being done from Cleveland, Ohio. You're listening to the Barbecue Central Show.
This portion brought to you by Smithfield. Head on over to smithfield.com and get tips from pitmasters like Chris Lilly, Darren Worth, Under Cervantes, and Childs Cridlin. Mouthwatering flavor and no artificial ingredients. Smithfield, fresh pork, quite simply, some of the finest pork money can buy. A trusted choice of World Championship pitmasters to use at competitions and at home. And we welcome back Robin from grillgirl.com. Robin, look at this comment coming in from Guy Chisholm. Green Mountain Grill, gimmick. I say, hogwash. It's not a gimmick. That's a good cooker, I think. You know, one thing that I have to say is there's a lot of cookers out there right now. And it's almost like anything else. You could buy the most expensive, like, you know, this watch right here. If 100 people bought it and 99 people like me are having no issue with like one of the most comfortable watches ever, but the 100th person, the spring inside of it broke. And a week later, it's not keeping the right time. And no matter what, without taking it back somewhere, well, this person is getting on the internet and this watch, I paid X amount, it's a piece of crap, and I could have bought a Seiko for $8 and it would keep better time, and all of this other stuff. I think similarly goes along in any other type of industry. I saw it in the trucking industry with the engine that Peterbilt offers as their own, that being an MX engine. You see it with pellet cookers. People hate on Traeger. People hate on Green Mountain Grills. By and large, though, I think Green Mountain Grills is a very reputable. Oh boy, it sounds like I'm a shill here because they sponsor the show. But I mean, I know the owner and I know the ethics and the thoughts there, and things are going to fall through the cracks from time to time. But by and large, I think the biggest pellet manufacturers out there are trying to do the right thing.
Yeah, and I would say with any pellet smoker, like, anyone is kidding themselves if they think that it's going to run perfectly 24/7.
And not maintenance free either, right? I mean, I think people get pellet cookers and they think it's maintenance free, but it's not.
It's not. If I had a dollar for every time I was out in the hot Florida sun, sweating my ass off, cleaning out my pellet smoker, trying to get like a clog out, probably because of the humidity, and pellets are not always friends, but I think what you look for in a company is people who make it easy to troubleshoot those issues that you're going to have and replace those parts that are going to have crap out over time, and that make that whole process that much easier, and I can say I've done troubleshooting on my Green Mountain Grill, and they've always been great to work with. And I've seen, my dad had a Traeger back in the day, and I didn't see it as easy for him to go through that whole process of part replacement and things like that. So I think that's where really it comes into the company and the customer service behind it, and them standing behind their products and yada, yada, yada. So that's why I just put that out there. Anyone who invests in a pellet smoker, like you said, is not maintenance free. It's, who's going to be the easiest to deal with?
Well, look, Robin, I think we've inspired some trolls coming out, because if you look at here, all pellet smokers suck. I don't know anyone who is happy with theirs. So I had to sound the alarm right here. Obviously, who's saying? Darnell Medley is saying this. Of course, I'm sure he's kidding, but My alarm isn't going off for some reason. There we go. Look, I say this with peace and love.
Peace and love.
I'm saying it with peace and love. I know a lot of happy pellet cookers. I'm one of them. And from time, you know what? The more I think about it, with all of my pellet cookers that I've had, aside from an occasional flame out here or there, I have never had a catastrophic event in the 10 plus years that I have had a pellet cooker. And I have a Lang, and I have a Pit Barrel, and Weber Smoky Mountains, and everything in between. But I just have never had a catastrophic pellet event.
And that's awesome. You know what I think too? And this is what. No, it's great, and I see so many of my girlfriends on Instagram, and the pellet smoker is the only grill they've ever known. They've never really had to. Literally control a fire, you know what I mean? Because they just press the button. And they, I don't think they've had, I don't see any, they're not upset. They love it, now what was I going to say? I've lost my train of thought, but yeah, they have their pluses and minuses for sure. I've had my ups and downs with mine. Oh, I know what I was going to say is I think actually what I've seen is that when you use your pellet smoker all the time, it almost seems to work better. You know what I mean? Kind of like a car, if you have a Honda and you drive it all the time versus if you have a car that sits in the driveway and it doesn't get driven enough and then you have problems. I feel like that's how I am with mine, and that I have so many different grills in my backyard that my pellet smoker is not my 24/7 grill. It's kind of like my once or twice a month grill. And then, by that time I haven't used it. Maybe some things got, clogged, or maybe some pellets got hardened. So I do feel like there's a way with pellet smokers. It's almost like you have to kind of keep that machine finally oiled and tuned and keep it going. You know what I mean? So maybe that's part of it as well. That's just a little theory that I have along with Scott.
Or maybe you're buying cheap pieces of crap and you're getting exactly what you paid for, right? I mean, if you're buying a $170 pellet cooker, then I would expect that your expectation as a consumer should be way down on the totem pole than if you're buying something in the $900 to $1,800 to $2,000 range, which is going to, I mean, give me a break, right? I mean, what are we talking about? All right, look, let's get off of this and go to food trends. So we're closing out 2020. Everybody laughed at me almost a year ago when I said, the first show in January of 2020, that 2020 was rapidly coming to a close. But look who's right. I am. 2020 is almost over. As you look back on this year, which has been like no other, what food trend came up that maybe you didn't think was going to happen or was on the cusp and really hit home in a major positive way? Things that you're going to take away from a food trend in 2020.
Well, and this won't be a surprise to anyone, but I think the food trend that no one was expecting was everyone baking bread, specifically sourdough. You remember at the beginning of, and that was so unexpected because January, everyone was like, fuck yeah, I'm getting back on the bandwagon. I'm so keto. I'm all about maximizing my macros and blah, blah, blah. And 5 seconds later, everyone's like, just kidding. I need comfort food. And someone just gave me a batch of sourdough starter. And now I'm making my own batch and we're all baking bread and we want to eat carbs because we're stressing right now. I
think it's because they were watching the Tiger King at the same time.
The Tiger King got everyone through the first round of lockdowns. We're like, what's going on? Oh, thank God for the Tiger King. So I think that was what was not expected. Just because it was kind of like a what, I even have girlfriends on Instagram, and it would one girl's name was it literally was maximizing my macros or whatever, which is such a keto thing to say. And the next thing you know, she's totally baking sourdough. So the other thing I think that came across the threshold from being something that was a little bit more rare to more common day in 2020 was tri-tip. Now, hear me out on this, is that historically, tri-tip has been more of a West Coast cut, right?
Totally,
on the East Coast, you just do not see tri-tip at the grocery store. Yeah, but I feel like this was the year that even people who don't or haven't usually had tri-tip in their universe made a point to find it and cook it. It was kind of like it became at least I felt like, and this is of course my view of the world according to all my little barbecue people, but you know what I mean? Like everyone's like, oh, tri-tip is great. And it's like, it has been great, and it's cool to see more people getting into it. Some other things I think that we'll see next year. So those are like the two things that stick out in my head for 2020 is, and I don't know if you saw our spreadsheet where we write about what like some talking points was. I think the biggest food trend of 2020 is eating and drinking your feelings.
You think?
And drinking. I'm gonna drink my feelings now, right?
Yeah.
Like it's been. I don't think anyone's, probably drank as much as early in the day as I don't know. At least like the year started out stressful, right? Everyone, their kids home from school trying to figure it out, and then you've got what do they call it? The quarantine 15 from all those carbs. Like people just wanted comfort food. So anyway, I think some stuff we'll see moving into 2021.
Yes.
Is, for me, here's the cut of meat that I think everyone's trendy on right now is picanha. Now everyone, at least that's what I see, everyone on their feed is like, I'm cooking picanha. They're showing how, you can smoke it whole, you slice it up, put it on the big skewer, whatever. But that's like, I see that as being like what tri-tip was this year.
Are you seeing it as are we calling it a picanha renaissance? Because I want to say 2 years ago is when it first hit. And I remember talking about it on the show with a couple different people. And then it seemed to like hit and go away. And you're right, I do see it starting to make a comeback. So is this like version 2 of picanha? Will it be... Or will it have seen its best days by the end of Q1 of 2021, do you think? Or will it continue through the year?
I think it'll continue. I mean, maybe it's because I'm networking a lot with more, like I'm trying to network with more women too on Instagram. It's like the girl that grills type movement or grill girl,
Right.
So I think more people are discovering it. And then I think there's some other stuff that I'm seeing that I hope to see more of. And that's like, this innovation in grilling, right? Like, so in late 2018, we saw Masterbuilt and Kamado Joe, since they joined forces and they came out with the gravity fed pellet smoker. Well, now we're seeing fusion in that, now, and I haven't seen it on their website, but I've seen it by the guys that work there. We're seeing them connect pellet smoke augers to Kamados. So that you have have you seen this yet?
Well, Kamado Joe came out with a pellet fueled version of their ceramic cooker.
Yes, but it's not on their website yet, right? Like I'm seeing more like technology around people, and I'm also seeing outside of them people making parts to like convert a like Weber kettle to running on pellets and things like that. So I think what we're going to start seeing is more like fusion and modification in the world of grilling. Like think about how, like you can get a Jeep and you can accessorize and modify a Jeep like Wrangler. I feel like people are going to start doing more of that in 2021, or maybe I just hope they do because I think it's really fun to watch and see. And I just also like to see innovation in the market. I just think it's nice and refreshing to see people doing something different. Mm-hmm. And exploring how you can do it, how you can cook over a fire.
Do you think that a trend for next year is going to be the continuance of the plant-based revolution? I mean, I remember I thought at the beginning of the year that is something that was going to continue to dominate. It certainly hasn't gone away by any stretch, but I thought perhaps if the year would have trended in the normal way, it would have been absolutely monster. I don't know if they backed off of it or if it just didn't pick up steam because everybody was home and they didn't give a shit about if they ate meat 7 days a week and whatever else, and plant-based wasn't in the diet. Like you were talking about, like everybody was on keto and then all of a sudden, boom, they were off the keto thing for good for this year because it was this year. Do you think that plant-based will make a resurgence of sorts or make a real big growth into 2021?
You know what's so weird about that is that you're right, like it was trendy, and then I felt like I stopped hearing about it. It's like it's there, but it's almost like it lost its steam. So it's hard for me to say because I feel like my positioning on it is very biased because I only hang out with people that really eat a lot of meat, and I only have like one vegetarian friend. So I almost feel like my opinion is not correct, but I kind of almost hope it goes away, only that it's not the idea of the plant-based that bothers me. I think it's great. What I do find really gross is all the weird ingredients that they put in most of these, right? Like you might as well just eat a burger if you're going to eat all that weird shit that they put in something to make it taste like a burger. That's what makes me feel like is the weirdest thing about it, is that people are trying to be healthy and also of course being better for the environment. But meanwhile, these things are so processed and like engineered that it doesn't seem right that you would want to eat it.
Better for the environment, but not real good for you in your diet. What's
right? Like it seems counterintuitive to me. Like maybe I should just eat a black bean burger that I make with black beans and something else versus this weird shit that I can't pronounce in the ingredient list.
What's the biggest thing you've missed this year?
I've really just missed being able to leave the house without having to have an effing mask in my purse or attached to my person and have one for Hunter. And, I'm so over masks and seeing dirty masks on the floor, all of it. I'm just tired of it.
Do you think that at some point we will be back to normal in 2021? And if so, like when do you think normal happens?
It's really hard to say. I do believe that we're in the middle of a war of information right now, and people have to dig really hard to find information that is truthful, and that they have to go outside of the mainstream media to actually figure out what's really going on, because there's so much censorship and there's so much of the information you don't know what to believe because everyone has an agenda. And so I think if people actually wake up to what's going on, then maybe we can go back to normal. And if they don't, then I think the tyranny of the masks and the whole like planned pandemic will continue, and that will be part of the bigger plan to get everyone used to wearing masks all the time. So
what does that mean? What are you getting at? What are you driving at there?
I just think I think all of this was planned. I think all of this was
the whole pandemic was planned.
I think if it wasn't planned, it was a great opportunity, and anyone can go on and go on to Google and look up the Great Reset, which is the World Economic Forum has talked about the Great Reset. And basically said that COVID was an excellent opportunity to implement the Great Reset. And that's why I find this to be, none of this is coincidental, what's happening.
I don't understand. What are we resetting? You think this was a planned, release? Do you think like this is real or that it's not?
I think it's definitely real virus. But if you go and look and see what a lot of people like the World Economic Forum said, this is an excellent opportunity to basically put our plan in place. It's an excellent opportunity to reset the world and put this action plan in place, which is the New World Order. And it sounds crazy when I say
what is that? Well, what's the New World Order?
The New World Order is the idea that what are called globalists and a lot of elitists have been talking about for years and years, which is basically like a one world government. And it's kind of scary stuff. But the Great Reset is you guys can Google this, and I swear I'm not crazy. Go on Google and plug in the Great Reset, and a lot of the major world leaders like Prince Charles, the what are the guy's names? Klaus Schwab, the guy from World Economic Forum. Bill Gates was there, of course. We're all talking about how COVID was a great opportunity to implement the Great Reset.
Interesting.
This happened in Denver. So anyway, you guys can Google it. I know it sounds crazy, but it's actually happening, and the fact that no one's talking about it is what's the scariest part.
Or it could be not true at all.
Yeah, I don't know why people would talk about it, wanting it, and the guy wrote a book about it called The Great Reset, COVID-19, the guy who is the head of the World Economic Forum. So yeah, I don't know why I'd write a book about it, but I swear to you guys, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I just started looking around and
don't say but. Don't you say but now. Don't you say but. Keep going. When the vaccine is out, Robin, when the vaccine is out, will you take it?
No, I will not be taking this vaccine.
All right.
I will not be taking an mRNA vaccine. So the one by Pfizer and Moderna, I will not be taking. Now maybe the one from AstraZeneca, but no.
Why? What's in it?
I just honestly all the research I've done, which you'll never find this stuff on mainstream websites or anything on Google because a lot of it's censored. But if you go on like DuckDuckGo and other places that don't have as much censorship. Bill Gates has been very involved with a lot of these vaccines, and he, if you guys can also do your research, he's done some shady stuff in India and Africa before that involved sterilization of young women and things like that, and it's very scary. I would not want to have anything to do that Bill Gates has had to do with any vaccine. Greg is giving me this like. You guys, I'm sorry, but you're welcome.
Whoa,
like,
don't apologize. No, don't apologize.
Yeah.
So there's documented.
He's really fired up, but
there's documented proof that Bill Gates is sterilizing women in different countries.
He's actually been banned from India. He did some vaccinations there, and then they had all of these side effects, and then also in Africa. You'll see people trying to say it's not true, but if you go down to about probably the bottom of the first page in Google and the second pages, you'll start seeing people talking about this information.
Are you an anti-vaxxer across the board?
No, absolutely not. I always thought anti-vaxxers like, hey, why would you not want to get a vaccine? Or why would you want to put yourself susceptible? But I have started to do more research lately and wondering if there's, honestly, Greg, I guess what 2020 has done for me is really caused me to wake up and question everything. Really just question everything. Like one night I was on a boondoggle on a rabbit hole looking up Jeffrey Epstein's log, of flight log, for example. And I found out that one of my all-time favorite barbecue chefs was like on that flight log. And I was like, fuck, are you kidding me? And now come to find out he was, Epstein's personal chef for a while. But I was
know exactly who you're talking about.
So I just, I don't know.
Hold on. Wait. Sorry. I lost track of time and I didn't stop my auto triggers from going off there. I apologize. Who do you want to tell everybody who you're talking about?
No, well, I just, I'm sure anyone can Google. But I won't say anything. I'm not going to throw anyone. But I'm just saying, in my life right now, I feel like I've had like the blinders lifted, and I just question everything. I just research everything. I don't take anything for face value. I encourage everyone to do their own research and not trust what anyone tells them, what the media tells them. Just really do your research and don't take things for what they appear.
Robin, if you don't take anybody's word for it, if you don't take mainstream media or whatever side of the thing you're on, and you're doing your own research, I mean, to that point, who do you believe? Isn't everything you read an agenda-driven piece, or somebody trying to make money this way, or somebody trying to make a point or get a following, and they're saying this? Like, if you're questioning everything, where is the truth then? Is the truth then only what you care to believe?
Well, no, I think you have to really dig in and see for yourself. But what I will say is that there's been a lot of information coming out, and people are finding out how to get around a lot of networks that are doing so much censorship so that their voice can be heard. And there's a lot of new journalists and free thinkers out there that are sharing facts and sharing what's really going on. And it's really refreshing to see people doing that, So for as many people who do have an agenda, I think there's a lot of people out there that really just want the truth with what's going on in the world to be heard, and are fighting, are really fighting for the truth to be out there, right? So there's always light always trumps darkness, right? So yeah, light always trumps darkness. I'll just leave it at that.
All right. Last question before I let you go, and I have to ask because it's fun. Are you a flat earther?
Nope.
Thank God.
I'm not. I swear I'm not crazy. I've just been very researched lately.
You don't say but. You just say, I swear I'm not crazy, and end the sentence. When you say but, that means you might say something that's going to immediately contradict what you just said. Look, go over to...
There was a Seinfeld episode about that, wasn't there?
That's right. Go over to grillgirl.com immediately and look at these gift ideas. Who knows if they're going to make it in time. Shipping has been an abomination here over the last 6 to 8 weeks or so. For various reasons, but there could be some things that spark an interest for you that are on that list, or things that you didn't think of, and that's why she's been doing it for 10 years. This list has been coming out. Unbelievable. Go to grillgirl.com otherwise, and you can see her right here on the third Tuesday of every month. Robin, always appreciate the time. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas to you when you get there next week, and obviously Happy New Year, and we will see you in 2021.
All right, everyone. I hope everyone has an awesome holiday, and I appreciate you and your friendship, Greg, and I appreciate all those Barbecue Central fans out there. Y'all are awesome, and let's make 2021 a kick-ass year.
Let's do it. There she is, Robin from Grill Girl, right there. We are really gonna try to make 2021 the best year ever. It can't be worse than this year. Let me rephrase. It can always be worse, right? No doubt. All right, let me go back here. Here's Wally Inskeep chiming in, saying, hey, Robin, good for you. That's right. You tell her, Wally. Good for you. Now let's see if I can figure this out, because I totally blew up my clock on both hours. Luckily, this isn't like a real radio show, so I don't have to worry about the clock. We just went a little long tonight. That's all right. Only 3 minutes right now. I'll talk to you quickly about the Barbecue Guru. Believing that outdoor cooking can be easy and fun with the Monolith Barbecue Guru Edition grill. It's got a built-in power draft fan, the world's first unit, by the way, that has a power draft fan built into it. This means smarter control and greater freedom with automatic temperature control. Easily choose your cooking time and temperature, and let the Monolith do the work of a sous chef or barbecue pit master. With minimal effort, you now have oven-like precision at the grill, and you can serve the tastiest, juiciest meals each and every time. Oh, yes. And by the way, if you have a Guru controller already, hook it up to the draft fan, and away you go. They have 2 new controllers if you want to take a look, the Nano-Q and the Ultra Q, the Dyna-Q and the Ultra Q. Those are the ones I'm trying to think of. And if you have any questions, 800-288-GURU. Or you can visit the website, see the products that they have at bbqguru.com. That's bbqguru.com. The Barbecue Guru continues to be a breakthrough in barbecue technology. We're going to wrap it up right after this. Stick around. We'll be right back.
You're listening to the #1 most downloaded barbecue and grilling podcast anywhere. The Barbecue Central Show. Howard Stern, Jim Rome, Dan Patrick, and Greg Rempe. The Mountain Rushmore of talk show entertainment. Now, let's get back to the Barbecue Central Show.
Sorry about that. This portion brought to you by The Smoke Sheet, a free weekly newsletter that keeps you in the know on everything happening in the barbecue world. Brought to you by Sean Ludwig and Ryan Cooper, a.k.a. Barbecue Tourist and NYC BBQ on social media. BBQnewsletter.com is the website. A great all-in-one resource for the live fire industry. Thanks again to Robin for joining me the last two segments. And we'll see where we... Am I going to run out? Yeah. Okay. All the way back in the first hour, we talked with Stephen Reichlen. He had some gift ideas for you as well as we get closer and closer to Christmas, so your time is running out. After Stephen, we talked with Andy Staples from The Athletic. He writes college football for them and is the authority in the country on college football. At Andy_Staples on the Twitter if you want to interact with him. Tell him you heard him on the show and how great he was. That replay will be available here in a couple hours. And then in the second hour, it was Robin from GrillGirl.com, Robin Lindars. She also has her gift guide out, her 10th year doing it. Again, GrillGirl.com, and just look for the 2020 gift guide for her. And we talked about some trends and things that bubbled up here in 2020 and what might be happening in 2021. Big two shows coming up as we close out the year. Embedded Correspondents are next week. Derek Riches is next week. We're going to be arguing about best of during the Embedded Correspondence segment. 5 or 6 each of our best moments, and we'll try and whittle them down into a winner. And then the following week, we will also just go over a best of 2020 in general. Your participation is asked for, not required, but would be appreciated. So weigh in, call in, all that fun stuff. September 11th, 2001. I will never forget. Till next Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. This is your program host and proud U.S. American, Greg Rempe. Good night now.